So other than don't cheat and don't send X-rated pics to strangers, what have we learned from the whole Anthony Weiner saga?
Our local social smarts expert, Corinne Gregory, answers that question and also breaks down the best ways to treat each other with respect and civility in the office.
Yes.
All right, good morning to you. 9:14 now. What lessons can we take away from the Anthony Weiner sex scandal? Also, what are some of the best ways to keep it civil at your office?
Corinne Gregory is a founder of socialsmarts.com. Her latest book is It's Not Who You Know, It's How You Treat Them. She's here to talk about the way we treat each other and also a business workshop she's holding next month. Good to have you.
Thanks.
Good to see you again.
Always like being here. Thank you.
What is socialsmarts.com?
Well, Social Smarts, the organization, is one of the leading companies that provides social skills, character, and values education in the school system. We actually integrate that into the school curriculum, both public and private schools. But the Social Smarts concept itself basically talks about the third leg of smarts, which is academics, street smarts, but social ability. So that's really what Social Smarts is all about, and we do educate adults and professionals as well as we do children and educators.
Okay, so getting to the point, one thing we've talked about lately is civility, or lack thereof. I was thinking, how do you even define that anymore? What is civility anymore? And how big of a problem is this?
Well, I think over time, no one would argue that we're becoming an increasingly rude, crude, and indifferent society. You know, sort of when you think that you're leading with the idea of what's in it for me, it's all about me, you know, the old talk to the hand. I mean, really, traditionally, we think a lot more about ourselves than we do other people. So civility really goes back to treating people decently the way you yourself would like to be treated. And I think we've really lost that. We've become so competitive that we think only about what's in it for us.
So that's what Mom always said, didn't she? Okay, so if you feel you're being disrespected at work, how do you deal with that?
First of all, I would say look at how you're treating other people, because you're more likely to get back what you give out. So if you're treating other people in a civil, kind, and decent manner, while the world isn't perfect, you're more likely to get that back. So if you feel you're being disrespected at work, first of all, examine your own conduct. And then what I would do is maybe take the person aside, if it is only one person, and ask them if it's intentional. And just explain. We're so afraid of talking to people nowadays.
Because we're passive-aggressive society. We are afraid of confrontation. A lot of people are, but you have to address it. You've got to say something to that person, right?
You really should, because instead what ends up happening is that resentment festers and we go around and we talk and do our little sniping behind the scenes because we're so afraid to say, look, I'm not comfortable with the way you're treating me.
Okay.
And I think we would nip a lot of the issues in the bud if we just were honest.
Well, let me add another layer to that then. I mean, what if it's a superior? What if it's your boss who's talking to another employee about you and it gets back to you? How do you address that situation?
Again, I would go to the source. And it may be nowadays, you know, there's a lot of rumor mill stuff going on. Maybe, as my mom used to say, maybe it's, you know, eaten only half as hot as it really was cooked. In other words, the whole thing might be exaggerated. You might be imagining things, and by the time it trickles down, you know, perhaps the story's overblown.
So you say go to the boss?
I would.
Really?
I would.
That might not be good for your career.
Well, to ask questions honestly.
Right.
Why not?
Okay, so switching gears just a little bit, a lot of jokes have been made over the Anthony Weiner sex scandal. All kidding aside, what do we take away from that? What do we learn?
I think there's two lessons in this. First of all, the obvious one, the conduct, what occurred, was definitely not something we should be doing, whether it's technology-based or otherwise. You know, that's one thing. I think the bigger problem came in the fact that there was so much lying and cover-up. Perhaps if he'd, I hate to use this word in the circumstances, come clean at the beginning, maybe he'd still have his job now because people had a little bit more faith then in some of his integrity. But in the face of evidence, if you cover up and cover up and cover up, man, you know, once you've ruined your integrity, it's almost impossible to get it back.
You know, but it also brings up a big point about the dangers of social media as well. I mean, so many people are involved in it, and that really can come back and have a huge backlash on your career and your livelihood.
Oh, absolutely. And for years to come, you may never know. You go to an interview and all of a sudden your prospective boss pulls up something that you may have said 5, 10 years ago. The permanence of technology is something we cannot overlook.
Yeah.
You are leading a Social Smarts for Business workshop next month. What's going on with this, and what can folks expect from that?
Well, what it is essentially a detailed breakdown of the concepts that are brought up in the book. So about how business leaders can use positive social skills, character, interpersonal interaction to really see their business grow to the next level. It's a strategic advantage these days to treat people, customers, employees in a kind and decent way, and we'll show them how to do it.
Okay, so what do we take away from all of this? What is the biggest lesson we need to know today about civility in the workplace?
it comes back down to what we just talked about. Treat other people the way you yourself want to be treated, and chances are you're not going to go wrong.
I think that's a good word.
Yep.
Corinne Gregory, thanks so much for stopping by. Good to have you. And by the way, we are giving away a few copies of Corinne's book. It's not who you know, it's how you treat them. Just go to Q13Fox.com, click on the Free on Fox button to find out about Corinne's workshops as well. You can go to CorinneGregory.com and click on the events tab.
Yeah.